Welcome to the Mission 10 Million podcast series. At Mission 10 Million, we aspire to influence the campus to corporate journey of 10 million students. We want their journey to be different. We aspire to influence the campus to corporate journey of 10 million students. We want their journey to be different, better, and more fulfilling. We don't want them to commit the same mistakes as many of us in the corporate world committed in their transition from the campus to the corporate. Since we started in January 2009 at Mission 10 Million, we have touched more than 22,000 college students across the country. And hence, to drive the Mission 10 Million initiative, we have a team of students at Mission 10 Million driving Mission 10 Million. Let me introduce Rag and Sai. Both of them are second year chemical engineering students and are the pillars of Mission 10 Million team. My name is Purav. I am the founder of Mission 10 Million. I have been in the corporate journey for more than 15 years now and have worked across sales, strategy, and currently I am working on digitalization for the power generation and oil and gas customers at Siemens. At Mission 10 Million, we recommend students to be different and not to follow the crowd. Network for growth and set challenging goals and targets for themselves. Today, at the third podcast of Mission 10 Million, we are extremely honored to introduce our guest, Mr. Ramesh Shankar, who strongly believes in making life enjoyable for all the people around him in whatever way he can. He says life is a learning journey and he inspires people to live life to the fullest. A very good morning, Ramesh Shankar sir.
Good morning, Purav.
Sir comes with a experience of more than 38 years in the corporate world. He started his corporate journey at the Steel Authority of India Limited, a Maharatna, one of the largest steel producers in India, followed by a long stint at the Eicher Group, Britannia Industries Limited, then ABB Limited, and he completed his journey as a Vice President HR at Siemens Limited, South Asia Cluster. He believes that learning is a lifelong journey. After such a long corporate stint, in April 2019, he founded Thristi, his NGO, to give back to the society. At Thristi, they offer coaching, mentoring to NGOs, startups, corporates, and support the cause of eradicating preventable blindness amongst children. And indeed, that is a wonderful way to give back to the society. Also, let me tell you, he is very active across all social media platforms and writes very insightful articles. As at Mission 10 Million, we always preach to be different. We work for students and with the students. We want that transition from campus to corporate to be as smooth as possible. And hence, we have people at Mission 10 Million. The guests are people who have been different in their journeys. So let's learn how to be more professional as a student even before they start their corporate journey. And Mr. Ramesh Shankar, who believes that professionalism is a way of life, we need to learn from the environment and people around us. First, let me thank Ramesh Shankar sir for accepting our invitation and agreeing to be a guest at our podcast series. Welcome, sir. Now I hand over the stage over to you. Over to you, Ramesh Shankar sir.
Thank you, Purav, and thank you, the other volunteers. It is indeed privileged to be part of this 10 million mission project, and I really compliment the team because it's a very inspiring thing to see that youngsters are finding ways and means of giving back to society. All of us have passed through schools and colleges, and all of us have done multiple mistakes before we entered the corporate, and even after we entered the corporate, we have done multiple mistakes, but we don't find ways and means of giving back so that our next generation learns from the mistakes we did. So I think it's a very, very noble mission. And as I had personally conveyed to Purav, and I'll be more than happy to volunteer in any way I can. And whatever little I know, I will be happy to share with students across the country, not only in this podcast, but in any other way, in any other future podcast, or in any other way I can contribute. Or if any of the students also want to contact me directly, as Purav said, I am one of the ways I keep myself busy is by being active in the social media. So I blog every Friday on my blog site as well as on LinkedIn. And I've written two books which are also helping students to and young professional to look at life differently. The books are called Sights and Insights and Life and Living, and are available in Amazon and Flipkart. And the proceeds of these books actually also go to my cause of preventing blindness amongst children. So the idea of joining this thing was that I have always believed that people think that is taught in college, which is not true. Actually, to my knowledge, since I've been in the industry for almost 38, 39 years and worked in both the steel industry, the automobile industry, the technology industry, as well as in the FMCG, I can tell you that no corporate, whether no engineering college or a graduate college, or for that matter, even a business school, even the IIMs don't teach you what professionalism is all about. So it is important for us to realize that professionalism is a way of life. It is something which we need to build ourselves. We need to learn to live life that way. And if you live life that way, that determines your brand, that determines your character. Because it is like people recall people based on the characteristics which people see in them. Like you say that a person is humble, and immediately correlate that humbleness to a particular personality in the public domain. Similarly, you say a person is arrogant, and you immediately correlate it to a particular personality in the public domain. So it is important to build our brand. Ultimately, all of us are like brands, and it is important to build our brand in such a way that you are humble, you are grounded, you are professional. And many times, what do we do in life is we make life complicated. We think life is only all data science and all rocket science, and it is all very difficult. What professionalism as a word itself is too complex, very difficult, and very how do I get professional? And it is possible only after I join a corporate, and possibly like Purav spent 15 years, and then only I may learn a little bit about how to be a professional. It is not true. What is true is that professionalism, as I said, is a way of life, and it is each one of us who can make it happen. And what I thought is one of the things which I try to do, I don't know how much I'm succeeding, but try my best to do when I write, is to write in very simple, relatable language, which you and I experience every day. And all my writings are inspired by people like Purav and others who are there on the show now, who actually interact with me and ask me questions and sometimes give me ideas. Or sometimes it is my family members. When I'm playing badminton, some of my players also, like the other night, one of my colleagues who's playing badminton with me, he said that his daughter actually is awake all night and sleeps during the day. So why is it so? Why is it this generation that way? So I wrote a blog called Night Owls, and I wrote about it saying that this is not a phenomenon which is new. It is a phenomenon which has been in existence even in the past. And it is a way of life. It is somebody who feels more excited or more energized studying at night and maybe sleeping in the day. It is fine as long as they're able to manage it, and as long as they're not able to impact the life of others. So what I try to do is I try to listen to people all around me, and every opportunity I try to look at how do I get some insight, how do I share some learning from the interaction I've had, and this is the way I have been writing. It started about 3 years back, and almost every Friday, last 3 years without fail, I have written a blog, and based on these compilation of these blogs only, I've written these books. So now let's try to see of what professionalism is. And I will try to give you 5 simple tips which you can practice every single day. And I will give you examples from the student life of how you could practice it. Because ultimately, I have also been a student in school and colleges, and I am a student now, trying to learn life, a student of life, you can say. Of course, I've been a student in the corporate where I've learned a lot, spending time in multiple types of industries. So I will now try to share with you 5 broad areas in which I feel you can make a difference. So let's see of how it works for you. Is it visible for you, Purav? Is it visible, Purav?
Sir, it is visible.
Okay, great. So let's start with what it means to be a professional. As I said, the professionalism is not taught in schools or colleges, but it is a way of life. So the first and the most important point which I want to mention is keeping your time. Now, keeping your time does not start only when you start your corporate journey, but it's keeping your time starts when you are grown up as an adult, and not even as an adult, even as a student. How do you keep your time with your family, with your friends? Of course, when you get into corporate, with your customers and suppliers. So when I say keep your time, what it means is, for example, if I commit to play badminton at 6 o'clock in the evening with my friends, then at 5:59 I should be on the court, and that is keeping my time. It is not that it is playing a game of badminton so I can be late. And if there'll be some people who will always be on time, and there'll be some people who will always be late. And it is like that ad which says that Pushpinder is late, or Pushpinder is pushing the scooter, and so on. So it is because you are characterized by your behavior. If you tend to be always on time, people will say that you're on time. So if Ramesh Shankar is holding the meeting, it'll always start on time, it'll always end on time. That is your characteristics. Assuming Ramesh Shankar is one who is always late, and who starts meetings late, who ends meetings late, and so on, then they say, okay, if Ramesh Shankar is doing the meeting, then you can be sure the meeting will not start on time, and it will never end. It will keep on going and going and going, and you can also sleep in between because his meeting never ends. So that is the characteristics, or that is the brand which you are building. The second important factor is, irrespective of social status or hierarchy, you have to keep your time. Many people think that you have to keep your, for example, as a student, you may think if your professor calls you for a meeting or for a discussion at 10 o'clock, you have to keep your time. But if another student calls you for a discussion at 10 o'clock, it doesn't matter. He's a peer, so it does not matter. Or if a junior calls you, you feel it is absolutely not important because after all, he's a junior, we can make him wait. So that is not true. Again, as I said, irrespective of social status or hierarchy. For example, if I'm in a corporate, if I'm a senior manager, if a workman wants to meet me at a particular time, and if I've given that time, I should respect that and be on time for that workman. It does not matter whether the CEO calls me or the workman calls me. Similarly, in the student world, it does not matter whether it's your junior, whether it's your peer, whether it's your senior, or whether it's your professor or your principal. Irrespective of who calls you, you should characterize yourself by being on time always. And sometimes you learn these lessons quite difficultly, with a lot of difficulty. I can share with you one learning I had way back in school, which really taught me to be punctual. And since that incident, I can promise to you that I have never been late for any meeting throughout my career of 38 years. This happened when I was in school. We had our sports day, and I was the school captain, and I was supposed to lead the march past. We were having a white and white dress, and I was playing in the play field before the march past was to start. And while playing football or something, I slipped and fell, and they got dirtied my dress. So my house was only about 5 kilometers away, and we used to cycle to school. So some of my friends told me that you cycle and go back home and change your dress and come because this looks brownish and doesn't look nice. So I went home and then came back. I reached exactly 5 minutes late, and the march past was, chief guest was the it was in an air force station. The chief guest was the station commander of the air force station. The march past was started with the vice captain, the school vice captain, and when I came back, the principal told me to be away from the march past because he said you are late, so sorry you have missed the march past. This was a lesson for life for me, and I realized that how important it is to be on time. And I have always kept my time, and I have always encouraged my team members and my friends and my colleagues and everybody wherever I have worked to always respect time, irrespective of whom you are addressing. For example, today if I'm addressing students, does not mean that I can be late since I'm a senior person or I have retired or whatever. The third one is equal respect for everyone, meaning, as I said, you have to show respect, irrespective of whether it's your parents, whether it's your younger sister or brother, whether it's a friend, whether it's a colleague, whether it is a supplier or a customer, it does not matter. Everyone has to be respected, and everyone's time is important. The workman who has come to meet you maybe has some immediate commitment with his family. He has to take a child to a hospital or whatever. So he has come to meet you because he wants to finish this and then go and take his child to the hospital. And if you are late, the poor child will who is sick will not be attended to on time. And you may not realize it because the workman does not tell you that. So it is important for us to realize that we have to have equal respect for everyone, irrespective of social status or hierarchy. The fourth thing which I would say when you will be called a professional is when you are known for keeping your time always. And we have a lot of celebrities whom we listen to. And we only hear about celebrities coming late for functions or coming late for occasions and so on. But there are some celebrities who are known for keeping their time. When I can name a few, for example, Amitabh Bachchan is one who's supposed to be always on time for any appointment he gives to anybody. So even any shoot he gives, even in the midnight, if there is a shoot, he's always on time at the age of 76. So you can imagine that that is the brand the person builds once you are able to keep your time always. And last and not the least, I would say build your image this way always. This is the way to build your image. If you keep your time, if you keep your respect for people, you keep your time irrespective of social status or hierarchy, and that is the way people know you. As I said, people will know you. People will say Ramesh means it's always on time, or they would say Ramesh means it is always late. So it is up to you to build that image, and once you are able to build that image, it will stay with you for the rest of your life. And you have to remember that this building of image is not a one time activity. It has to be sustained day after day, time after time. And that is what it means. It means that you have to always maintain that image, and it is not easy, though it's simple, but it is not easy. I mean, people will always give excuses of the train being late, or the bus being late, or the flight being late, and so on. So you have to plan for it. You have to prioritize for it. For example, when people come late for some meeting or something, I ask them and they say there was too much traffic. Then I ask him or her, saying, if you are going on a holiday to Goa and you have to catch a flight, the same traffic is there. Do you miss your flight? No, you don't. Because what you do is you plan for it and you go 2 hours before the flight so that you are never missing your flight. The same thing you'll have to do for your meeting. It's as simple as that. So keeping your time is the first of the 5 simple things which I want to share.
Sir,
So before, yeah,
can I make a point here for the students?
yeah,
And
yeah, sure.
you very rightly said, So for all the students, today you all are attending online lectures, and this habit of being on time has is being taken very casually nowadays. What sir said, that it is not easy, but it is for free. You can always be on time, and this image building will take a long time. So if you start practicing today as a student, this will become your habit. And trust me, in the professional world, this will build a lot of credibility for yourself. So what you
Absolutely.
connect with yourself, what you attach with yourself, always late or always before time. It doesn't matter what others are doing. Today, I have also realized, when you say all the students are joining late, it doesn't matter if I join late. Take your call. You have to build your image. And this is something you can start doing today, and it will become a habit forever. So, students, being on time, many people in the corporate world are still making this mistake of taking everything very casually. You have to respect others' time, and you have to start building your image. Thank you so much, sir. This is indeed a very important message, not only for the students but for the people in the corporate world as well. Over to you, sir.
Thank you, Purav. Yeah, absolutely. And you talked about personal credibility. If you ask me, the most important competency which a person needs to have, or the quality which a person needs to have, is personal credibility, which means there's no gap between what I say and what I do. And if that we are able to build from this stage of student life, then you have made a big mark in your career. Okay, let's move on to the second one. As I said, I'll keep it simple. So the second one is about responding. So it people think responding is not a very critical thing. Calling back people when you are busy, irrespective of who called you. For example, I have kept my phone on silent while this podcast is happening, because I don't want this podcast to be disturbed by any phone call which I may get. So it means that there will be a lot of people who would have called me in the absence of during the session. It is my duty to call back every single person who has called me, irrespective of who called me and why they called me. This people don't do. People, I mean, I have seen children at home, my own children, I can say. I have seen friends, I have seen family, I have seen students. I've seen many people take it very casually, and they think that calling back is not important. If they have work, they will call back again. So why should I bother? You need not bother, but then that is the image which you are building. The image which you are building is, if I call Ramesh, he will never call back. So you have to call him 10 times to get him. So that is one image. If you want to, you can build that image. The other image which you can build is, if I call Ramesh, irrespective of whether he's in a meeting or not in a meeting, you can be sure if he is not attending the call, he will call you back, irrespective of who you are. So that is an image which also you can build. As Purav said, the choice is yours. And again, this is free. It doesn't cost you anything to respond. Whether it's a phone, whether it's a message, whether it's an email, or whether it's a visitor, it does not matter. People don't respond to phone calls. People don't respond to messages. People don't respond to emails. I get very, very upset when people don't respond to emails. Normally, what I do is, when I used to work in the corporate, if somebody does not respond even to a candidate, and the candidate writes to me, I will normally not, if the person is sitting in the same office where I am, I will walk up to the person and ask him, why did you not reply? And if the person is in another office, I will pick up the phone and speak to or another city or whatever. Then I'll pick up the phone and speak to that person and saying, this is not done. Irrespective of who you are, what you do, if a person has written an email, you have a responsibility to respond back to that email. So it is important for us to respond, and respond on time. It does not matter who the person is. Similarly, a visitor. You have called a visitor, the visitor is waiting for you. Like, for example, typically it will happen in corporates. When you enter corporates, you will see this happen. My only request to you is that when you become senior enough, don't allow this to happen. Or when you have the courage, tell people in the corporate where you're working that this creates a bad image for the organization. When you go to the corporate for an interview, they call you at 10 o'clock. The interview will not start at 10 o'clock. They'll make you wait and wait and wait. And then maybe after lunch at 2 o'clock, the person who is interviewing you will interview you. So normally, again, what I used to do, since I used to work in HR, what I used to do is if I walk through the reception and I see a students or youngsters sitting there, I used to walk up to them and they don't know who I am. So I used to walk up to them and ask them, why are you sitting here? Whom are you meeting? Then they'll say, sir, we have come for an interview. We are meeting Ramesh. Then I straight walk up to Ramesh and ask him what time you were supposed to meet this gentleman or this lady. And he'll say, I was supposed to meet them at 10 o'clock. Then what is the time now? It is 12:30. Then why have we not met? Then, we had this meeting, we had that meeting. Then I will fire the shit out of that person. Because this is not acceptable. This is uh, unprofessionalism, to say the least. And this is the image which the individual may or may not get selected. If the individual gets selected, the individual might forgive you for this mistake. But if the individual is not selected, I can be 100% sure that he or she will go and tell 10 friends that never go to this organization for an interview, because they will make you wait for 2.5 hours. They will not even offer you a cup of tea or coffee. And then at 12:30, the person will say, "Okay, let's meet after lunch." They'll not even offer you lunch. You are expected to go out and find your own way to forget lunch and so on. So that is the brand which you build for yourself, and that's the brand you build for the corporate in which you are working. As a student, this is equally true. For example, a friend calls you, you don't call back. A teacher messages you, you don't respond. Somebody, for example, you're trying for internship, and a corporate has written to you a mail asking you for some clarifications. You don't reply to that email. You have a guest faculty who's come to visit you. You have given a time for the guest faculty. Like suppose I am coming as a guest faculty to your college. You have asked me to come at 10 o'clock. I'm coming at 10 o'clock and waiting at the reception, and you are not there at 10 o'clock. You come 10 minutes late, and you have 101 excuses for being late. So all that builds your image. Then I say, okay, I have to think whether I should go to this college again, because they don't even maintain their time. So again, the same thing which I mentioned for time, known or unknown does not matter. Whether I meet you because I know you, or whether I meet you because I don't know you, does not matter. For example, if I am to meet a young person for an interview, it did not matter to me, because the interview person I did not know naturally. But I have to keep that time. I have to honor that commitment. If I don't do that, then it shows again that I am unprofessional. And last but not the least, we do not consider it important to call back or respond to email, letters, visitors, etc. It we think we take it very casually. We think that chalta hai. I mean, this is a typical attitude in India, which many people try to follow, the chalta hai attitude, which will not work. I mean, it may work for you and it may work for you negatively. The moment you get used to that sort of attitude, right through your life, you will be that way. And people will always consider you as a person who will never respond, who will never be on time. And that is the image which you're building for yourself. So it is important for you to respond on phone, respond on message, respond on email, respond to a visitor face to face. It does not matter who the person is. It does not matter how important the call is or not important. But the image which you're building is that if I call Ramesh, you can be sure that he will respond back. And that is the image which you're trying to build. So let's move to the third one. As I said, I have kept it very simple so that you understand this. The third one is called feel the hunger. When I say feel the hunger, or empathize is the word. So I wrote feel the hunger because this is again an incident which happened when I was playing badminton only, incidentally. One of my colleagues told me that I heard about his contributing to a old age home. Every Sunday, he feeds the inmates of the old age home. So I was very impressed, and I said, "You do a great job, and it's very nice of you to do this." So he said, "No, actually, I should tell you this incident which happened. That once, when I was volunteering to do this, the owner of the old age home told me, it is no use if you just give money and we feed these old people. If you really want to know what they miss, you need to fast and you need to feel the hunger. And then only you will realize how much an old person gets impacted or a person gets impacted if it misses just one meal. And if you just miss one meal, you will realize the value of that meal. So feel the hunger, and then you will realize you will be able to empathize with this person. So in our life, in everything we do, we need to feel the hunger. We need to put ourselves in the position of the person who is facing it. They say put yourself in the shoes of the impacted before you decide. For example, if somebody says this, your children, for example, or your younger brother or sister says the shoe is biting, and you say no, 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 it's okay. You're trying to find an excuse for wearing a new shoe or getting a new shoe. Don't give such excuses. Just wear it and go. Maybe after a week, you will see a lot of injury on the backside of the ankle of the child. And then when you take off the shoes and try to put it for the child, you will realize the shoe is actually gone tight and it is biting. So if you are able to wear that shoe and see, then you know where it bites. So similarly in life, you'll have to put yourself in the position of the person before you take a decision. Many time, especially in the current environment, many time we think data analytics can replace empathy and its related emotions, which means that, for example, today you have a lot of information, you have data, and those data which you get from the public domain, whether it is internet or whether it is library or whether it is any other sources, mobile phone, any other sources, knowledge sources, you get information. This cannot replace empathy or emotions, because, as I said, you cannot justify every action of yours using data. You have to realize that you have to put yourself in the shoes of the person who's getting impacted and then take the decision. For example, in an organization, in the current pandemic, when COVID is happening, the organization finance people might do a lot of analysis and tell the HR people that actually we have 1,000 employees and it is costing us so many crores of rupees in terms of employee cost. Our sales have gone down because of the pandemic, and hence we need to reduce our cost by at least 20%. And so we'll have to see how to reduce 20% of our employees so that our cost goes down by 20%. So this is data, and this is real data, hard data, which really hits the bottom line of the company. So they say that, okay, I reduced 20%. So I called the bottom 20% of the organization and asked them to leave and ensure that the company is achieving its goal. And that is a simple thing which an HR person can do. But that is not what he or she is expected to do. What you need to do is you need to put yourself in the position of the person who's likely to lose the job. And what happens to his or her family? What happens to his EMI? He might have taken a car loan. The entire family might be dependent on that person. So you will have to find whether you can redeploy that person, whether you can find an alternate job for that person in another business of the same company or in another company. So all this we need to do, and that is empathy. Similarly, in a college, for example, let us imagine that the college today suddenly decides that they want to reduce 20% of the students because the cost of operations of the college is not viable. Because of the pandemic, it has impacted their income and they are not able to run the college. So they are saying, okay, they are going to reduce 20% of the students. So what they do is they take the mark list and the bottom 20%, they say, okay, you can from tomorrow, you don't need to come, you're terminated because of performance. So that's the simplest thing. Based on data, you've taken a decision. But imagine the person who is in the bottom 20% is a poor student who is coming from a slum and is finding it difficult even to study in this college, is taking loans to study in the college. So you, as the college teacher or the college administrator, have to keep all that in mind and find a way to increase the revenue of the college without impacting these poor students. So that is where empathy and related emotions come into play. Professionalism does not mean unemotional decisions. Many a time people will tell you that logic tells this, so go ahead and do it. Yes, sometimes logic can go wrong. And that is where it is important for us to realize that many a time logic would go wrong. In life, logic is not the only thing. It is emotions which ultimately matter. It is important to rely on data. There's no doubt about it. Like they say in statistics, they say, in God we trust and the rest is data, which is true. However, it does not mean that all decisions can be taken by data alone. And it is important to realize that you need to empathize. You need to feel the hunger. You need to put yourself in the shoes of the person. You need to feel the emotions. As I said, if you see somebody losing a job and tears in their eyes, you will realize that this could happen to me. Even a CEO. Let me share this example with you. There's a book called Raincoat. It is written by a person called Charles Handy. If you get the time, you can go and read. A lot of books have been written by him. One of his famous books is Raincoat, where he says, and this gentleman had come to India. He's a British management thinker. He had come to India in the 90s in Delhi, and I was lucky to be there, and I attended his session, where he made a beautiful statement, which actually summarizes what I've said so far. He said many companies think, or many organizations think, that company success is the formula is half into two into three, which means you reduce your manpower by half, you will double your revenues, and you will make three times profit. He says this may be true, but the CEO, before taking the decision, has to realize that he could be in the half which is asked to leave the company, because many CEOs also get sacked. So they have to realize that the day they get sacked, how their family will get impacted, how that environment in which they exist will get impacted. So that is how we have to look at every single decision in our life, irrespective of whether you're a student, whether you're a brother, whether you're a sister, whether you're a corporate employee, it does not matter. You have to put yourself in the shoes of the person and then decide. Sometimes you can go wrong. Sometimes we make wrong decisions. It's okay. We can learn from the mistakes we make. But you have to empathize. You have to put yourself, don't go just by logic and data. You have to put yourself in the shoes of the person and then decide. So I
Sir,
hope,
sir,
yeah,
I will interrupt. I'm sorry to interrupt, but
yeah,
a very important point here for students. While I have been interacting with them and I ask them to network with the people in the corporates, they always tell me that Purav, they do not respond to our requests. They don't even read our emails.
yeah,
And here you have to understand, students, what mistake as a student I made, and many of you are still making. Your first email to a person in the corporate world is, Sir, I am looking for an internship. Sir, I want a job. Just try to understand how will a person in the corporate world immediately respond to such an email. And then, because you do not get a response, you make conclusions that these people are not responding. So,
yeah,
what Sir said, put yourself in the shoes of the person on the other side. How many such emails he or she would be receiving from students? Is it possible for him or her to respond to everything?
mm,
Have some patience, give some time, and do not always start asking. In your first email, should not be always asking for help or asking for an internship. Try
yeah,
to build relationships and then try to explain your position, your condition, that this is what I am into and I need this desperately. Maybe the response will be different.
absolutely.
But look at both the sides. You have to empathize and check what situation, what condition the person on the other side is also in. Over to you, sir.
Now, let me give you an example of internship itself. It might be very relevant. I was working in iShare in Delhi. I was in the corporate office. I was HR head for the corporate. And there was a girl, her name was Bilwa Iyer, and she was studying in XRRI Jamshedpur. And she was doing an internship with a company in Bombay. I wouldn't like to name the company, but she worked in a company in Bombay and she was doing an internship there. From there, she called me up one day and she said, I want to do my next internship with you. And will I be able to do it? I don't know her. I don't know about her or what she does and all that. And I asked her, why would you like to come and do an internship with us? She said, no, I have done some research and I have found that iShare is a great company to do internship. You guys give a lot of real problems to solve and you coach us and train us and this and that. So I thought she was being nice to us because she wanted to do internships. So she was being smart. I said, okay, you call me up after a week. And I thought with that, the person will never call me again. But exactly after a week, she called me. She said, Sir, you told me to call me again. Now tell me, what should I do next? Then I said, what are you interested in? She said, I'm interested in this area. So I said, okay, you read these four articles and then you call me after 3 days. So exactly after 3 days, she read those articles and she called me. She said, what next? I said, if you want to understand this issue, you may have to visit Delhi to meet us. And then we will explain to you that this is the challenge which we are going to give you in your internship. If you're still interested, you can do the work. And if you're not, it's okay. And those days, I can tell you, it was not very easy to get a flight, and it was not easy to afford a flight for a student, and so on. Even today, it is not. But even that, those days was much more expensive. So she took a train, came to Delhi, stayed on her own, came and met me, and she said, "Sir, I called you after a week. I read your articles. I have done enough research. Here is a small paper which I have written on the problem which you are facing, and tell me when can I start my internship." Believe me or not, I had no choice but to tell her that, okay, you can do my internship. I'll be very happy to take you as my intern, and you can come and join us next month. And we took her, and after 2 months of internship, we offered her a job, and she came and joined us. So that is the type of impact which you can make if you are able to put yourself in the shoes of the other person, if you are able to empathize, if you are able to actually show that emotions, and if you are able to respond, as I was telling you, response. So she responded to my email, she responded to my call, she came all the way from Bombay to Delhi to meet me. And she was so perseverant in her passion to learn that she came and she did a great job, and that's how we gave her a job. Okay, let's move to the fourth point, which I would say dress for the occasion. So, especially the pandemic, it's a good occasion for us to realize this. Many people, for example, if I am taking this session, I could wear a shirt on top and wear a dhoti below and sit here, and nobody will be able to see me below my waist. But that is not professionalism. I need to be dressed as if I'm sitting in front of you. So, professionalism means you have to always be one step better than what the organization's dress code says. It is basically being dressed appropriately and finding out in advance what appropriate means in that specific context. For example, if tomorrow, if you are going for an internship to a particular organization, you are going to a multinational. In the multinational, they have said that everybody has to wear a tie every day to work. You come to know about it, then you may not be used to wearing a tie, but it is a good idea to buy a tie and or even lend a tie from a friend and start wearing it every single day to work. That is dressing appropriately. It is not necessary that you should wear a coat and a tie. For example, you join an IT company. Typically, an IT company, they wear casual dress. They wear a t-shirt and they wear jeans and so on. So if you come to know that the company t-shirt and jeans is the appropriate dress, then there's nothing wrong on your part to wear jeans and t-shirt. The only thing you have to remember that don't wear torn jeans and don't wear undersized or oversized t-shirts, because that is again unprofessional. You may do it while going for a party or doing whatever you want to do, but don't do it while going to the workplace. So dressing appropriately means specific to that context of the organization. Neither business suits makes you professional, nor casual wear makes you unprofessional. Appropriateness of dress is the key. So you have to dress what is appropriate for the occasion. Let me tell you this learning which I had again early in my career. I came from a low middle class family, and my parents, we could not afford much. So when I was doing my post graduation in personal management in the University of Madras, I couldn't afford much of dress, and I used to feel a little bad. But what I used to do is I used to wear my father's T-shirt, sometimes his shirt also, and go to the workplace to study. And then nobody commented anything because it was a college and I felt okay. But when I started doing internship also, I did the same thing. And then once I was called and told that this is not appropriate. You need to, we can understand you may not be able to afford, but try to wear a neat shirt, try to wear a appropriate dress, which is appropriate to the organization. Don't wear oversized clothes to internship and so on. So once I started my career, I started giving weightage to dress. I thought dress does not matter. I always thought that it is your content which matters. It is your delivery which matters. It is your behavior which matters. Dress does not matter. It is not true. Dress also matters. Your first impression is with the dress. And as I said, dress does not mean a coat and a tie and all that. Dress basically means appropriateness. You should be clean. For example, your nails should be well cut. You should be clean shaven. If you have a beard, well trimmed beard, but you should, whatever you wear neatly and dress appropriately to wherever you go. And you can find out about the organization, the country you're visiting. Every country and every organization has its culture. So what is appropriate in India may not be appropriate in some other country. For example, in India, people wear slippers to office, which is quite okay. I mean, many organizations don't mind that, but or a sandal for that matter. But in many of the Western developed world, whether US or Germany or anywhere you go, if you wear slippers to workplace, it'll everybody will look at you because that is not considered appropriate. So you have to find out. I mean, you can do research, you can talk to friends working in that organization, you can do a lot of literature survey, you can see on social media people working there and so on, and then connect with them and find out what does this organization consider appropriate. Even when you're going for an interview, what is appropriate dress? It is very important. You should find out what is the appropriate dress in that organization. Try to be one step better than what they prescribe. For example, they say a tie is not required, a coat and a shirt is good enough. Maybe you can wear a tie. That is one step above. But don't go with jeans and a t-shirt to that organization. On the other hand, if you come to know that organization encourages people to wear casual dress, go with a t-shirt and a tie. Go with a t-shirt and jeans. However, don't go with a torn jeans and a oversized or undersized t-shirt because again, that will be considered inappropriate. So it is important to realize that you need to dress for the occasion, and that's my fourth point. Any questions on this? Okay. If there are no questions, I go to my last point, which is about keeping your commitment. So it is important to realize that we need to keep our word. You have a choice to commit or not commit, but once done, you cannot go back on it. Let me give an example. Like today, I had committed to Purav that I'll take this session at 10:30. It's a Sunday, and it is possible that I may get an invite somewhere else. I may get a family function to attend. There could be a friend who is not well. I may have to take him to hospital or whatever. But I have made this commitment to Purav to be here at 10:30 to address this broadcast. I have to keep this commitment unless there is a personal emergency by which I cannot be there. For example, I get hospitalized. Naturally, I cannot be there. Then I should have the courtesy to call up, or a family member should call up Purav and tell him at least 24 hours in advance that Ramesh is hospitalized, so he will not be able to attend the session. So please forgive him and please reschedule this program. And that is fine. However, unless there is a heaven falling on earth, unless there is a personal emergency, unless there's an emergency which we cannot avoid, we should keep our word. And that is again building your personality. It does not matter if it is a family, if it is a friend, if it is a colleague, if it's a stakeholder, whom you made the promise. For example, you might have told your girlfriend that you're taking her for a movie at 3 o'clock. So you should be at that place at 3 o'clock. It does not matter that it is your girlfriend and you're taking her for a date, and it is not that you have met her for the first time. You have been friends for 3 years and you know each other well. So you just call up at 2:45 and say, "Aaj mere ko neend aa raha hai. I'm not feeling okay, so I'm sleeping, so I'm not coming today." And she's waiting at that cinema hall for you, and she's highly disappointed. It is not only that that will result in a conflict between the two of you, it will also build your image that this guy will never keep his commitment. This guy will always fail at the last minute. And that is the image which you're building for yourself. Similarly, when you grow up tomorrow, you have a family, you have a kid, and you're working. You may tell your daughter or son that in the evening you will come and take them to a play or take them to the zoo, and you get into a meeting, and that meeting prolongs, and your boss calls you, and that prolongs, and so on, and you forget about this visit to the zoo to the daughter's commitment, and then you come back home at 8 o'clock, and the children are already slept. And then your wife tells that your daughter and son were waiting for you, and they slept because they were hungry, they had food, and they didn't want to wait any further. They got frustrated, so they slept off. So again, your children build that image that my father will never keep his time. My father will never keep his commitment. So this is what you are. Similarly, if you make a commitment to anybody, as I said, if you are an intern, you make a commitment to your coach or to your manager, saying, "I'll collect this data and submit this report on Monday." Then Monday morning, the first thing you should do is go and submit that report. What we do is on Monday, till Monday evening, you don't submit. On Tuesday morning, when the manager or the coach asks you, you say, "Sorry, sir, my data is not complete. I could not do it. I need 3 more days to do it." So your image is that you will never keep your commitment. If there could be, in practical situation, there could be delay, you can seek an extension of time, but it is unprofessional not to keep your commitment. For example, if I know that I am likely to be delayed in submitting my assignment to my teacher in college, I can go and seek extension from the teacher in advance, saying, "Sir, I need 3 days extension. Will you please grant me?" Either he will say yes or he will say no. You can negotiate your time. However, if he says this is the day you have to submit, then you bloody well submit. Because then that is again the commitment which you have to keep. So it does not matter whether it's your girlfriend, whether it's your kid, whether it's your teacher, whether it's your friend, or whether it is a colleague of work, or whether it is your spouse, your husband, or your wife. So you have to build your image based on the commitment you keep. So these are the 5 things which I wanted to share with you. They are, in my opinion, very simple. And in my experience, I can tell you the simple things in life are the most difficult, like a morning exercise. Every year, most of us will say our New Year resolution is to improve our fitness. We'll go for a walk, or we'll go for a jog, or we'll go to the gym every day. But this New Year resolution lasts only for 1 week. And after 1 week, we don't go to the gym, or we stop walking, saying it has become cold in Bangalore in the morning, so I'll go in the evening. In the evening, you have to play badminton, so you don't have time, and so on. So you have always some excuse not to do it. Professionalism may not be taught in an engineering college or a business school. As I said, it's a way of life, it's a culture, it's a brand which you're building for yourself. It is brand new, and this is the opportunity for you to build. And if I have to summarize, as I said, I will say, keep your time, respond, empathize, dress for the occasion, keep your commitment, and build your brand. So your brand should be, people should say, Ramesh is always on time. Ramesh will always respond to an email, phone call, or anything. He will always put himself in the shoes of the person who is getting impacted. He will dress for the occasion. He will keep his commitment, and that is how his brand is built. So over to you, Purav.
Thank you so much, sir. It was indeed wonderful. I'll first take to the questions if there are any from the colleagues or on the chat. So, Sai and Rag, over to you for questions.
Sir, you beautifully first explained regarding the internship, how to
Sai, let
under.
me interrupt. Okay, okay, go ahead, Sai. Go ahead. Sorry. Yeah, we are there now.
Sir, you beautifully explained regarding the internship of with an example of a girl how she kept her commitment. And
Yeah,
now in this ongoing time during the pandemic times where the physical presence
yeah,
is not at all required and most probably everything is happening online.
yeah,
How can we use the social media platforms like LinkedIn or any
yeah,
other
yeah.
to to keep up the commitment and also for the internships? In-
No, for example, what Purav has also said, and I think he's beautifully written in his book also, where you need to start networking. You need to find out. For example, today, almost every organization is busy either conducting webinars or attending webinars. Okay. You know what is happening around the world. You know what is happening in your field. Assuming you are from chemical engineering, you know what is happening in chemical engineering. There is a Bangalore tech happening as we speak in Bangalore. So, right from the Prime Minister, everybody is addressing that Bangalore tech. How do I keep myself abreast of what's happening in Bangalore tech? What are the new developments in chemical engineering field which is happening? Who are the people attending? For example, assume that I am from a chemical engineering company and I'm attending the technology summit and I presented a paper there. And immediately after the paper, you can connect with me on LinkedIn and you can say, sir, I attended your session and these are the three questions I have for you. I'll be very pleasantly surprised if a student writes to me at the end of this podcast to say that these are the three things you said and I want to ask these questions to you. And I can promise to you I will respond to every single question. And so will most of the people. The people who want to be known for building their brand, people who want to be known for keeping their commitment will always respond, irrespective of whether they are prime minister or whether they are Ramesh Shankar or anybody down the line.
Thank you, sir.
So today, the social media is a very powerful medium for us to be aware of what's happening. For example, follow Anand Mahindra. Every day he tweets and he gives so much of insight. He gives so much of information. He encourages youngsters. For example, if a student has a great idea, he says, "Okay, I will fund this project for you. You come and do it with Mahindras for us," and so on. So there are many Anand Mahindras in the public domain. It is up to us to tap on those. It is, and it requires a lot of effort. It is not that they will knock your door and tell Purav, can you come and work with us? Nobody will do that. Okay, you have to go and seek that opportunity. It is for us to seek opportunity.
Exactly, and this is a very important point for all the students. With the power of social media, the certificates or the grades that you are running after are actually not the only things that you should achieve in your academic journey. If you start networking, just assume if you get funding from Anand Mahindra, or for the sake, if you get a funding from the Tata Group, because they are also kind of a very socially aware organization,
Right.
and if you do a successful project with them, they would really not look at the certificates. And sir,
Absolutely.
I would request you to also throw some light on the students, because you have lived that journey. How important
Absolutely.
are the certificates or the grades for the students? Can you also share your thoughts, sir?
Yeah, actually, here what I want to share with you is that I've written a lot about this in the sense that your certificate or even the pedigree. For example, if I am from IIM Ahmedabad, that helps me only in entering an organization. Once I enter the organization, nobody, for example, I worked in Siemens, nobody in Siemens will know that I have studied in XLRI or I have studied in IIM Ahmedabad or whatever. Doesn't matter. Because people will say, what did Ramesh do when he was here? What value did he have? Did he make any difference to HR in Siemens? So the common employee will talk about it, whether I have done or not done. That is the impact which I make. People will not remember where you passed out after you enter the organization. So I famously write saying that leave your certificates at the gates of the organization, and that is where it belongs. Because once you enter the organization, nobody will bother. It does not matter whether you are Harvard Business School or whether you are from a local engineering college in a remote corner of Karnataka or Gujarat or Bihar. It does not matter at all. Because what matters is if there is a problem, you are able to solve the problem and not Pura who is from IIM Ahmedabad. So then people will value you and not Pura because he studied from that college. Assuming you are from that college, that helps you. I mean, a pedigree helps you in entering an organization. Yes, campus recruitment is better in premier colleges. No doubt about it. But you also know that it is tougher to get admission in premier colleges. So you will have to do your homework before. I mean, if you want that premiership in your career, you need to ensure that you do well in your gate, you do well in your CAT, you do well in your GMAT, and also on. So once you are able to do that, then you enter a good college. Assuming you have not been able to do that, it does not matter. You have studied, you have finished your engineering, you do all this which is being said. And as I said, you do networking, you connect on social media, you attend all of these webinars. Today, for example, Coursera is an online platform. 70% of their courses are free. And they offer courses from Stanford, from Harvard, from Carnegie Mellon, and all subjects. It is not that they only offer in management areas, and so on. They offer on data science, they offer on chemical engineering, they offer on everything under the sun. So, and most organizations also do it. Like in Siemens, for example, our e-learning platform, more than 70 to 80% of the courses are free. So employees cannot find an excuse not to learn. Students cannot today. For example, when I studied as a student, if I had to refer something, I had to go to a library because we didn't have an internet. I didn't even know where I will get a book because I had to search multiple libraries to get one book. Somebody said, okay, you read this book. I had to go and look for 10 libraries in the city where I lived. And I could not go beyond my city because I could not afford to travel to another city to look for a library. Luckily, I stayed in a big city, so but it had multiple libraries. Imagine you are in a small city at that time. It would have been much more challenging for them. But today, sitting on my laptop or on my desktop, I can access information from across the world. I can learn from across the world. And there's nothing which is more valuable than information. So it is important that we leverage networking. We leverage, and that is networking is today not physical. Like you talked about COVID. COVID does not prevent us from interacting. For example, I can share with you that in the last 6 months, post-pandemic, I've interacted with more people than I would have done the previous 6 months when COVID was not there
Yes.
because of these platforms. I mean, for example, I take sessions on with students. I take classes for, say, business schools or engineering colleges. I do some webinars. I do this, I do that, or I attend programs. All this is an opportunity which the pandemic has provided to me and which may not have been there before. So it is up to me to learn and update myself about what I'm doing. Like a lot of startups contacted me only during the pandemic because they also went through LinkedIn and all that and found that, okay, I can add some value to what they're doing, and they contacted me. So it is up to us to do it. I hope I have clarified.
Yes, sir. I mean, as you rightly said, the pandemic has taught us many new things and made it easier for us to connect. Even today, if I ask to conduct a lecture, you might have to travel. But with this pandemic, this and because of the restrictions, fortunately, we have been able to be more accessible, more approachable, and people
Absolutely.
are getting used to digital
Yeah,
tools and digital meetings.
yeah, absolutely.
So, students, I would say, students should take benefit of this.
Yes.
And this is also making you realize how big is the world and how easy it is to network with the people around.
Yeah,
So let's not make the certificates a kind of a barrier. Your mark sheets are just a necessary condition. It is part of the system. It is part of the
yeah,
process.
absolutely.
So they do not define your capabilities, your abilities.
Correct. Absolutely, I agree. 100%.
So Rag and Sai,
So,
any other questions from both of you?
yes, sir. Sir, in the beginning, you have said that each and every one of us during their corporate journey or before that making blunders and mistakes. So, are you considering a competition with others as a blunder? So, we know that competition with others uh, is not a right concept, but we have been taught that competition is healthy since school times and now in the college. The only target is to stay ahead in the competition. So, what are your thoughts on this?
Yeah, again, I mean, this is again another area which I'm quite passionate about. I would say that competition is good. Competition is good as long as you are ready to compete to be better and ready to learn from the best. Competition is good, not good when you want to create a win-lose situation. For example, it is better to compete with yourself than to compete with others. For a good example is, I always give this of Sergey Bubka, the pole vaulter who broke 7 world records of himself. He didn't break world records of others. Every time he reached a particular height, assuming he reached 7 meters, and the next time he broke the record of his own and became 7.2 meters, then 7.4 meters, then 7.6 meters, and so on. So we need to compete with ourselves more than we compete with others. Yes, it's a good idea to see the best in class. For example, if I am a cricketer, I will look at Virat Kohli and what he does. Okay. How he, like for example, today's social media talks about how he goes to the gym and practices every day. We don't go to the gym at all, and we say we want to be as fit as Virat Kohli. It is not possible. So if we have to learn from competition, learn from the best. Try to be the best. Don't try to, learn the negative things from them, or don't try to negate yourself with competition. There's no point in competing with others to pull them down. You have to compete with others to pull yourself up, and that is the difference. Yeah, if we compete with ourselves, then we'll always pull ourselves up. And if we compete with others to pulling ourselves up, then our attitude will be different. If our attitude is to pull the other person down, like even in organizations, in industry, it happens. When you compete with another industry, for example, if you are innovating, one if Siemens competes with GE or with Alstom in competing of how to make trains better, then it is good for the society, it is good for Siemens, it is good for all of us, and each of them will do a good job. For example, let us assume that they are working on conservation of fuel consumption. So if Siemens says our engines consume 10 liters per kilometer, okay, I'm just saying for the heck of it, and G says we can do the same thing in 8 liters, and Alstom says we'll do it in 6 liters. That is good competition, because you are saving fuel for society, you're trying to do things better for life, and each one will learn from the other and how to improve. But if Siemens says, okay, we will bribe 4 people to get an order, or if somebody else does something else, we will kill competition by doing some illegal things, then that is not competition. So in real life, as a student also, you need to compete with the best to learn from them. You need to compete with the best to raise your standard. Like I say, excellence is a journey, it's not a destination. So you have to continuously learn. Like, let me give you this example, which was very inspiring for me because I witnessed it myself. We had a young project manager in Siemens. She's based in US. Her name is, I'm forgetting her name now, Margaret or something. So she was invited to our Siemens business conference, which is held in Berlin every year. So I was attending that conference, and this lady came in, and I was surprised of why a project manager is being invited. So she came to speak to senior leaders of Siemens worldwide. And all of us are waiting to listen to her, what she's going to speak as a project manager. We thought she's going to speak about some project which she has done well. You know what she spoke about? She said that she was a swimmer and she had won a medal in a world championship. And she got a bronze medal in a world championship. As you know, world championship is held once in 2 years, and Olympics is held in the other 2 years. So once in 4 years, you have a world championship. The other 4 years, you have the Olympics. So every 2 years, you will have either world championship or Olympics. So she won the world championship medal, and then she said she was not happy. She said, "I want to win an Olympic medal." So what she did is, since she's a swimmer, she started practicing swimming morning 3 hours and evening 3 hours every single day. She was swimming before coming to office, morning 5 to 8 o'clock, and after returning from office, evening 6 to 9 o'clock. Every single day, 3 hours morning, 3 hours swimming, 3 hours evening. She was swimming, and she's a project manager in Siemens. And Purav can tell you how project manager's life is. It's very one of the most challenging jobs, I can tell you. And she had 2 children. She was married. She had 2 children. And in the next Olympics, she got a silver medal. So that is excellence. So excellence is a journey. She competed with herself. She said, I have to do better than what I have done before. And she learned from all the people around her of how they did it. Possibly she saw Olympic swimmers and said, okay, then if we see Virat Kohli practicing 14 hours a day, then you realize what he's doing. I can give you another incident. Rahul Dravid used to be the brand ambassador of Britannia. So we invited him to interact with the employees. And one he was talking, at that time he used to play only test cricket. He was not even playing one-day matches. So one of the students asked him, what do you do when you don't play test cricket? So most students expected that he'll say, I'll go on a holiday, or I play guitar, or enjoy picnic with my family, or whatever. That's what people expected his answer to be. You know what he said? He said, when I don't play test cricket, I practice 16 hours a day. 16 hours a day I practice. And people said, how do you practice? In Bangalore, most of the time it is raining and things like that. He said, I have created a electronic pitch in my house in the first floor, and I practice my defense star. I have got a ball thrower, and I practice my defense shot when it is raining inside. And otherwise, I am on the playground every single day, 16 hours a day. When he's not playing test cricket, that is excellence. That is competing with yourself. I hope I have answered.
Yes, sir. I have one related example before we take another question. We in organizations or we as students always try to perform every day,
Yeah.
and that is a point where we make a mistake. We forget to practice. We do not put more time in practice. When we look at the players, when we look at the athletes or people who are very successful, they invest 80% of time in practicing and they perform for 20% of time. We
Correct.
do it the other way. We
Mm,
practice for 20% and we expect 80% results from that.
mm,
So this has to be also taken into consideration. When you compete with others, you benchmark your potential with them. First, see what you can achieve. And this is one of the examples which I always give to students, that if you wish to get a first rank in the class, if the first ranker is at 90%, you target 91%. But have you ever thought your potential is 95%? In the race of competition, you forget to exploit your potential as well. And the day you get 91%, you are afraid, you are stressed because you have to stay ahead in the race. But had you exploited your own potential and got 95%, nobody would have even thought of competing with you in the next time. So please compete with yourself. A very important message. Please compete with yourself first. Take the best from around, but
mm.
do not copy others in the race of competition.
Now, here again, I can give you one more incident where I wrote a blog called Polestar. And this is a real incident which happened between me and my son. One day, my son came back from work, and I was in Bombay. And he said that I'm very, very frustrated today. I said, what happened? He said, I have studied from this college, and I get so much of salary. And this fellow, Purav, is studied from some local college, and his salary is more than me. So the first question I asked him is, how do you know Purav's salary? He said, no, no, everybody knows everybody's salary. Okay. And I said, okay. Then what does Purav do? He said, Purav does this. And I said, what do you do? He said, this. I said, how do you know that Purav is not a better performer than you are? Then he said, no, no, I know. I keep seeing him every day and so on. So anyhow, to cut a long story short, I told him, see, it is no use of yourself comparing with somebody else. The first thing I said is forget your pedigree at the gates of the organization. And that is what I wrote in my book also. You have to leave your certificate wherever you have studied from. You leave it at the gates of the organization. It does not matter. Nobody knows where you have studied from, and nobody knows where Pura was studied from. However, what matters is what is the value you bring to the table within the organization. For example, in the class, how you are performing is what the lecturer sees. In the exam, how you're performing is what the examiner is going to see. In a group discussion or a case study, how you do is what your evaluator is going to see. So I said, try to compete with yourself. Don't compete with others. As Purav said, try to learn the best from others. So I said, be like the pole star. When you see a night sky and you see the pole star, you can never miss the pole star. If you are like the pole star, everybody will see you. If you're not like the pole star, naturally there are so many stars you'll be lost. So if you are like I told my son, try to be the pole star. If you are the pole star, everybody in the organization will know who you are. And if you're not, then you're not reached the pole star level. So try to be like the pole star.
Sir, I would say
Thank
you
you, sir.
have explained really well and well complimented by Pura sir. I agree with whatever you said, but with the environment around, isn't it tough to change this mindset? because of we are in the era of assignments, exams, and continuous lectures going on.
Yeah.
So, and doing something is new is always a challenge.
Yeah.
And to become, as you said, and to become a pole star.
Yeah.
So, what according to you should be done to manage these additional things?
Okay, again, let me give an example. Again, a learning from my personal life is that I joined SAIL as a management training, like Purav introduced, and we were 22 people in my batch, out of which three or four of them joined the civil services. When I started my career in 81, the opportunities before us were either you join the public sector or you join. I mean, the first option was to join the civil services, IAS, IPS, IFS, and so on. The second option was to join the public sector. And if you don't get civil services or public sector, then we used to look at private sector. That used to be the thinking in the 80s. Now it has changed. So when I joined SAIL, I found in my batch, I was in a hostel as a management trainee, and we were undergoing some 6 months of classroom training. And when we were undergoing training,
Sir, you have gone on mute. Sir, you are on mute. No, sir, we can't hear you. Some technical issue.
Sir,
Rag, can you do something there?
sir, maybe his
No, sir. We cannot still. Your
maybe his
mic
airports. Maybe his airports get discharged. I think
discharge.
so.
Okay.
Okay. Okay.
Uh, Sir, you can now unmute if it is possible to unmute. Can you see the mute button? Unmute button, because we see it is muted. Take your time, sir. We cannot hear yet. No.
Sir, you can go on to the settings, right, which is in the right side of the camera option, and then you can select the audio, output audio. There you will find your headphones as a microphone array or something else. You can change your
Yes, sir. Go to the
audio
cam mic
option,
setting. Go to the
cam and
cam
mic
mic
settings.
setting
Yes.
on the screen. Not yet.
Well,
Sir,
sir,
you can disconnect and reconnect.
huh.
You can disconnect and reconnect on the same link. It's okay, guys. This happens
Yes.
in the with the digital things.
Hmm.
But I think for the students, this was a really interesting session, and a lot of things were clarified.
yeah, is it audible now?
Yes,
Yes,
sir.
sir,
Loud
perfectly
and clear.
audible.
Yeah, maybe that's the issue. Yeah.
So if I'll repeat the question, it was about how to do something more with the existing mindset of assignments, exams, and attending lectures. And this is very true. Most of the students say, when do I get time to network? When do
Yeah.
I get time to read more books? And how to manage everything?
Yeah. So I was sharing this example of my management trainee days when the three of my batchmates were preparing for the civil services, and they used to study for 14 to 16 hours a day. Beyond the class, they will always be studying, and we used to make fun of them, saying that "Kya to naukri mil gaya hai, and you got a good job and let's enjoy life. Ye kya kar rahe ho tum karke?" Anyhow, to cut a long story short, these three guys actually got in. One got into IFS, and two of them got into IAS. And we continued in sale, and then journey continued. But I did try for the. After seeing them, I was so inspired that I tried for the UPSC, and I went for the UPSC three times. Of course, I didn't make it, but twice I went for the interview. And then when I came home to study for the UPSC, my father was alive at that time, and he was shocked to see me studying for 14, 15 hours a day. And he said, I have never seen you study so much in your life. And now that you're working, what happened to you? And then I told him this incident, and I saw how these people were preparing, and it requires so much of effort to make it happen. So, one thing for us to remember is that all of us have 24 hours a day only, including Virat Kohli and Prime Minister Modi and you and me and anybody else and President of USA, anybody under the sun. It is up to us to decide what is important for us and what is not important for us. If we feel that, for example, as I said, I gave the example of the swimmer, I gave the example of Sergey Dubka and others. If you see all of these people, I've seen Anju Bobby George, who is my neighbor here in this community. I've seen her, she gets up at 5 o'clock in the morning, even today, when she is not an active Olympic or a World Cup athlete. But she's a silver medalist in the World Championship, as you know, in long jump. But even today, she gets up at 5, goes for a jog, then goes to the National Sports Academy, which is nearby, the SAI, practices there for 3 hours. Then comes. She's also got two children, and then comes back and again continues, and again evening she practices and so on. So she's a mother. She's an active political activist now. She has got so many other things, but still she finds time to do what she's supposed to do. So similarly, a sportsman does that. Any sportsman, you look at their life, they are very, very meticulous in what they do. Their gym time is fixed, their eating time is fixed, their play time is fixed, their relaxing time is fixed, everything is fixed. So as a student, you will have assignments, you will have pandemic, you will have a lot of other things. As I said earlier, the more you are ready for something which is you are not expecting, the better you are for your lifetime. I mean, what you don't expect, if you are ready for that today, it is very easy to manage what you expect. For example, today you are facing the pandemic, which none of us expected. But the organizations which are able to manage it well, which are converting that pandemic into an opportunity, which are creating products and services which help people during the pandemic, are the organizations which are surviving. My neighbor makes perfumes in a factory nearby. He's in an industrial area which is nearby. He used to make perfumes, which are these bottled perfumes for men and women, and he used to export also. The moment the pandemic struck, he started making sanitizers. And today, he doesn't have capacity to produce or to sell. He has lost capacity. He is to build new capacity. So much he has expanded in the last 6 months. So because he changed, he could have said, I am making perfumes, I am making money, I am happy, I don't need to do anything. But he said, okay, this is an opportunity for me to thrive. So let me start making sanitizers. So he started making sanitizers. And you know, it is not easy to make a sanitizer because you have to make the right composition, you have to get approval from the health authorities, you have to get approval from the pollution authorities, you have to bottle it at the right temperature, and so on. So there's a lot of other things to be done. I mean, it is not as easy as you all are chemical engineers, so you know better than me. So the fact is that you will have assignments, you will have online classes, you will have other things. But if you are passionate about something, we have to do it. If you are a violinist, you will play violin every single day, irrespective of all this which is happening. Yes or no? If like I play badminton every single day because I am passionate about playing badminton, irrespective of age, I am 61, irrespective of other commitments I have, and so on. I am a diabetic, so I have to do yoga every day. I have to walk every day. I have to play badminton every day. I'm passionate about writing, so I publish a blog every Friday. I write almost every other day. So it is something which has to come with your passion. I can't say no. I have leg pain, so I will not do this, or I have assignments, I will not do it, and so on. I mean, all of us will have multiple things to do. It is. For example, my little finger, I broke it while playing badminton. That is the time I realized the value of the little finger. All the fingers have equal value. Okay, but you realize the value of a little finger when you break it, or you have a sprain in that finger. And then you suddenly realize कि वो जूता ठीक से नहीं जा रहा है या हाथ में glove ठीक से नहीं जा रहा है, whatever. So you realize the value of that. So similarly, you have to realize that every one of us are busy with multiple things. There is nobody in the organization who is absolutely free. For example, if you feel that the job of a security guard in your organization or in your college, engineering college is easy, go and stand in the gate the whole night for one day. And I can assure you, you will never like to do that job again. It will be full of mosquitoes. The cabin is full of mosquitoes. There will be so many people coming and troubling him in the night. He cannot sleep. There are so many calls he has to attend. There could be a fire in the night which he has to go and tend. The fire tender because he has been trained. There could be an emergency of an ambulance to be provided to somebody who is not a student who has suddenly started vomiting or whatever. So all this the security guard is to do who has not been trained for doing that. So one day if we do that job, then we suddenly realize, no, we're not capable of doing that. So it is important for us to realize that all of us, whatever we are doing in whatever circumstances we are living, there are multiple challenges. There's no denial of that. However, if we want to do something, if we want to achieve something, then we have to put in that extra effort. And that is where I told you about the 16 hours of Rahul Dravid, or the swimmer who swam 3 hours in the morning, 3 hours in the evening, managed a complex project right through the day, managed 2 children in the morning and the night, and won a silver medal in the Olympics.
Great, sir. Great. Thank you so much, sir. This was indeed wonderful. And all whatever you said were connected with examples, with stories. And this is also a beauty of a speaker when we are able to correlate what we preach with some real life incidents, then it becomes easy to understand, and it feels as if it is really the truth, and it is in fact. So, sir, I would like to end the session here. Before I end, I will quickly summarize 5 things which are for free, that has to go into your blood. It is not possible that you think that the day I enter the corporate, I will learn these things. Don't make that mistake. Being on time, respect time with your friends, with your family, with your peers, with your professors, with everyone. Respond. You are not too busy to not respond to someone. So please understand, you have to respond, and that develops your credibility in someone else's mind. That is your image. You have to empathize. Don't make judgmental decisions. If a person in the corporate world is not responding, I will not write to anyone. Don't make that mistake. Please build relationships by networking and understand the situation of everyone before expecting a response. Dress for the occasion. Don't take it too casually. Your capabilities, your speech, your communication comes second. The first thing that comes is how you look. And it is not that wearing expensive dresses. What sir said, dress one level above what is expected. And that is the first impression that you are able to make. Follow your commitments in as a student, as a family member, as a corporate. It is for free. If you are not able to commit or not able to follow, please don't commit. And if there is a challenge, please inform. Please complete the chain that I won't be coming because of XYZ reason. But response is required. So wonderful things for the students, sir, and we are very thankful to have you. We have no more questions, but I would request all those who are watching this. Ramesh Shankar sir writes wonderful articles, all connected with real life examples. So please follow him, read his articles, and try to learn from him. Thank you so much, sir. We look forward to have you with Mission 10 million for a longer journey with us and for continuously adding value to us as well as to the students. Thank you so much, sir.
Thank you, Rag, and thank you, Purav and Sai also. I think you're doing a great job. Please keep doing it, keep inspiring students. And as I promised, I will continue to contribute in whatever little ways I can. And feel free to contact me at any time. And any student who wants to contact me also, you are free to contact me or write to me. And all my details. And you can now share the presentation and my write-up also, Purav, if you want to.
Thank you so
So
much, sir.
contact details are there in the writing, and so feel free to contact me and I'll respond to every single person. Thank you and have a great day. Bye.
Thank you, sir. Thank you so
Thank
much.
you.
Bye.